Hello everyone and welcome back. It's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and today we're going to be checking out the June 2023 dollar bead box and bag subscriptions. The link for this one will be located right down below the video in the description section. And just note that these are two different subscriptions, so if you want the box and the bag, you'll need to add both of those options to your cart. But they have all the information there on their site, including the different lengths of time that you can sign up. And if you sign up for their longer 6-month subscription, for example, the price goes down a bit, and I believe it still includes shipping if you're in the US. The other great perk about this is that you also get access to their online store where you can go back and purchase tons of things just like this and more for just $1 per item. And it's a fun way to sample all different types of things, especially check glass fire polish beads and other pressed glass shapes that they have to offer at a really reasonable price. So let's go ahead and get into this one and see what's inside. All right, so our dollar bead bag subscription is on the top, and that's an $8 a month add-on that's optional. And if you decide to sign up for that one, what you'll get is 8 strands of check fire polish faceted rounds every month, 4 in the 3mm size, and 4 strands in the 4mm size. So for example, as it says on the bottom of that sheet, if you are a subscriber to the dollar bead bag, you can go back and reorder these strands for just $1 each. Each month contains a fun surprise of all different colors and finishes, and there are just so many to be found in check glass. So over time, this will help you build up a good stash that you can pull from in the future, and also check out some things that you might want to reorder more of. So let's flip this over, and that looks like a really pretty spring-like palette. They've been putting together some really interesting and unique color palettes on a monthly basis. It used to be very random, but perhaps this month we're going to see a lot of purples and greens and maybe some silver. But right now, let's go ahead and check out each of these strands up close. So first, here are those lovely 3mm size strands. Going from left to right, we have the dark purple, which has a little bit of transparency and kind of that deep dusky purple color. Next is the lime green, which also seems to be sort of that opalescent style where it's kind of creamy and has a little bit of a fiery shine that seems to come from within. That's a beautiful citrusy green. Then next we have the classic silver, which is coated the same all around the entire surface of the beads. A wonderful neutral to have on hand. And our fourth one is called Royal Purple Metallic. So this one's got some of that iridescence in some areas, also some transparency and those hints of purple that you can see in those spots where that metallic that is more of an opaque coating doesn't show up. So kind of a half and half style strand there. And I like how these could actually all go together. Even that bright lime green color gets picked up a little bit by some of those tones in the royal metallic purple. And then next are the 4mm size strands. Starting on the left, we have the purple copper luster, which is just slightly variegated and has that additional metallic shine on top of the purple glass. Second, we have the transparent pink, so it's a really pale, almost crystal clear bead strand with just a hint of pink in that one. The third one that we have is called light yellow, very similar to that pink with just a hint of yellow to that very transparent and glossy selection. And then our fourth one is the metallic green iris. So I'm getting a lot of green, of course, but also some blue in certain areas, just changing and shifting a little bit as you move them. And a lot of that reflective metallic shine all over the surface. So there's the dollar bead bag lineup for this month with lots of things that could be paired together if you wanted to. And you'd be hard-pressed to find check glass beads like the fire polish rounds for just $1 a strand like this. They've got so many different colors and finishes besides the ones you see here in their shop that you have access to reorder by being a Beadbox subscriber. Also, by the way, each of these strands contains 50 pieces. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the box contents. And every single month we have an insert on top of our contents. It might give us some newsy information about some things that are going on with Dollar Bead Box right now, maybe announcing some new products or other things that they're up to. And a great tip here listed on this insert, talking about when they have items that are listed as either or. For example, we might see something here, and I'll call that out when we get to it, but where you could get maybe one strand or a different strand. Be sure to look at the Dollar Bead Box and Bag items section in their shop. That way, if you've received one thing but you want to know what the other thing would have looked like, you'll be able to see all the different options there on their website. And of course, sometimes they have to do that because of the limited amount of stock that they can get their hands on all at one time, and they want to accommodate as many customers as possible. Here's the complete list of contents. We start out with the items in the top section, which is listing out the strands of beads, which we'll look at first. And then the second section at the bottom of the page talks about our additional items that are bagged up that you can often think of as a sampler, again, to see some of the things that they have to offer in their shop that you might want to order more of and get a feel for some of these different shapes and other materials. Not just check glass, but sometimes metallic components, stringing materials, and occasionally a gemstone item. So bringing back our box, let's take a peek inside. All right, so I am seeing a lot of purple, which kind of corresponds with some of these strands of fire polish we just saw in the bead bag. And right now I'll start to get some of these items lined up so we can take a look at everything close up one at a time. And beginning with strand number 1, I just love these, the color and the shape and everything. These are the 5mm check glass flower spacer beads in matte purple luster with 35 pieces on this strand. Here's strand number 2, and this is one of those that could be an either or. So I received the purple luster. The other option, which would also go along with a lot of the contents, is the crystal AB. So that would be just a crystal clear with the iridescent AB coating over parts of the beads. And this one, as you can see, has a very saturated color of purple with a sort of copper-like luster or extra metallic shine on the surface. These are the 4x6mm size that have a hole that runs through the top, so they hang down that way, and there's 35 pieces included. Up next, we have the 6mm size check glass 2-hole square or tile beads. This one in this selection, you could either get the matte crystal, which is the one that you see here, or you could get a jet black. And there's 30 pieces included on this length. You can see how the holes run parallel through the beads in these flat square shapes. And here we have a strand of 48 pieces of the 4mm check glass drux or pressed rounds. This is in the color called light amethyst, which brings in a little bit more purple and a different shade, a lighter and duskier shade overall than some of those more vibrant colors. And these contents are definitely looking to go along with the dollar bead bag contents this month once again, where we see a strong theme of purples and greens and some other metallics. And now we're looking at the 8x12mm check tabular drops. You could either get the vitriol or vitriol medium. And I'm thinking these are the medium. These do seem to have a little bit more pigmentation than I've seen in the other variety that is similar to this. And as we can see, one side is covered with the silver coating, and the other one gives us this sort of backlit appearance where it's got the reflective and colorful side showing up through the crystal clear glass. And here is a smaller strand containing 25 pieces of the 4mm check glass druk beads. This one is in crystal merrier acid wash. So we've got a really unique combination of some bright metallic colors and some other neutrals along with the crystal which shows up in certain spots. And there's a textural element. You can see that etched finish, which gives the surface even more detail. And last but certainly not least, in our list of strands, we have 25 pieces of the 4x6mm check glass drops. And in this selection, you could either get the crystal merrier acid wash, which is what we have here, or you could get the gold acid wash. The merrier, like you see here, that's what gives you that addition of the spots of hot pink, blue, copper, and some of those colorful tones that show up in the metallic finish over top of the crystal clear. And these are the exact same size and shape as those other purple luster drops that I showed you second in our lineup, which is kind of nice. There's certain areas in this strand in particular where you can see some of the purple that would be picked up by the other purple drops if you wanted to do some combining. And there's a look there at the hole placement. You can see through that one, which is a bit more clear in that area. And again, you can go back and order any of these for just $1 a strand, and also check out many, many more color variations, shapes, and styles in their shop. So I think we're off to a great start with all these strands together. Most everything being single hole, but we do have that 1-2-hole tile bead option. And I do recommend Dollar Bead Box for people who are into bead weaving, but also stringing projects, also embroidery, things like that. And especially if you really appreciate check glass beads, because that's what you're going to get the bulk of in this one. So in our additional items section, everything comes bagged up nice and neat like this. This is our first selection. I'll be taking these items out of the bags before I show them to you, but they'll all arrive just like this. And this particular bag is holding 10 pieces of the 12mm check cornflake beads. I've also seen them called wavy discs. And this color option is called purple, black, and silver. Really cool. Got some orchid and opal colors going on in these discs, so I love that. Not only do we have a classic combination of the silver washed over top of the jet black, but you also get those hints of vibrant purple, also in the metallic wash, mixed in on all sides. And you can see the whole placement going up through the center of these flat discs, which also have that wavy texture that you can especially see if you look at them from the side. In our second spot, we have a set of 2 of the 15mm check glass table cut dragonflies. These are in opaque green with pink wash, and I'm just holding one of these up to the light so you can see the light passing through that green just a bit. The lime green also matches well with that 3mm check glass faceted round bead strand we saw earlier. And there's also a lot of silver, it looks like, going on inside the body of the dragonfly, along with those little hints of pink. That hole, of course, going up through the center, and that design showing up on both sides. Third on the list is this group of 4 8x12mm check glass tabular rectangles. These are in lavender opal with travertine. Got this sort of velvety, satiny appearance there in that purple. The travertine finish making these more stone-like around the edges, and a hole that runs through the length of the beads. We follow those up with a set of 2 of the 12x17mm check lacy teardrops, and I'm holding these up so you can see that yellowish green that makes up the base and is a bit transparent underneath that purple wash. And this is another one of the variations where you could get either the green with purple, which is what you see here, the purple in the form of that wash that is settling into some of those details, or you could get the solid green, both of which go along with the color scheme that we see here. This one just bringing both of those colors together. Our next item is sort of a focal. It's a 20x24mm piece called a tabular drop. You could either get purple velvet or blue opal. So this is the purple velvet, and I'm loving the way the color kind of cascades down through the bead. Almost looks like it's been drizzled, and it has a bit of a satiny shine. There's a look at the hole placement. It goes up and down through the length of the tabular shape, both sides being just a little bit different and having that more organic appearance. That brings us to these, which I think are so cool. They're listed as a set of two 8 by 25 millimeter check vintage drops, and these are in pink with gray. So this is another sort of satiny, drizzled-like combination, these having those stripes of pink and gray. And then in this section here, where there's sort of a seam, I guess, where the beads have been pressed, you have the darker, almost black appearance. And there's a look at the hole placement going up and down through those drops. In this next selection, we have 3 pewter Tibetan squares in a 10 millimeter size with this geometric floral design. These beads would go with just about anything in their neutral silver color, and they have the same design on both sides. So this just adds a bit of metallic to what we've seen already, which thus far has been all glass. And next we have the 2 check glass 2-hole pyramids. These are in violet copper luster. They're a 12 millimeter size. And a few months ago I shared that I made from a couple of these we'd gotten in the past dollar bead box. They were a cute bead woven design called Blue Jean Queen by another talented designer. And I apologize, I can't think of her name off the top of my head. I know I shared it in that video. But anyway, the fact that we get 2 of these, you could definitely make a pair of earrings with these being incorporated sort of as a focal. They also bring in a little bit of the purple and the green together with that hint of the brownish or olive mossy tone that shows up in certain spots. And these are also something you could combine with the 2-hole tile beads that came in the box. Up next, we have the 9 millimeter size check glass flowers in tanzanite. There's 8 in total in that purple color with a blue undertone. That hole going through the side, up and down the center of the bead, so you get to see the face of the bead if you are stringing that on just the way it is. And these offer a lot of transparency with no additional coating or wash over top. Here's another floral selection, this set of 2 in the 14 millimeter size. These are in the lavender with copper wash, which actually look a little bit more pink than purple to me. And these provide some additional or extra detail over and above the flowers we just took a look at, not only because of the addition of that copper wash, but also because there's a little bit more going on in the center and in that pressed glass shape in general. All those details that are pressed into each petal, for example. And what would be our purple flowers without some green leaves? We're also provided with this set of 8 11 by 13 millimeter check oak leaf shape, and these are in green with gold wash. This is another one of those that'll blend well with those shades of lime green like we saw in the table cut beads with the dragonflies and those 3 millimeter fire polish. These also have the same detail on both sides of the bead and that hole running up and down through the center. That brings us to our set of 2 carrier beads. These are in the simply crystal color or lack thereof, completely see-through carrier beads. In that tabular sort of rectangular shape on the face, and then you can see how it's puffed out or bowed out on either side. These you can use as is, or there's lots of patterns out there for doing some peyote stitch beaded designs directly on top of these and using them as a base. And there you can see those 2 holes, one going through either end, and we've gotten some of these in the past in all sorts of different colors. Our final selection is a set of 2 tiara cast Sea Star charms. These are in the antique silver plating, and they are so dainty and sweet, with details on both sides, and you can see one's flipped over to the other side. They're slightly different from one to the other, which actually makes them look a little bit more realistic. And with this set of 2, you could definitely use these in some earrings, or add one to the clasp area of a bracelet maybe, or one to the bottom of an extender chain on a necklace if you need some additional detail or a finishing touch. So that wraps it up for the June 2023 dollar bead box and that bag add-on subscription. And again, I'm really pleased with what they've sent. We have another cohesive color palette, meaning that we can make things directly from this box of contents. And also it gives us a great idea of the things that they carry in their shop that we can purchase more of, as you can only if you are a subscriber or a member. So I want to thank you all so much for being here to share in this unboxing with me. I'm always happy to have you. I hope you'll subscribe while you're here if you haven't already. And also feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of these items or anything else you'd like to say. Also give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it and or if you found it helpful. There's all different subscriptions out there, so I love sharing all different types since we all have our own style and desires when it comes to beadworking. As a reminder, the link for the subscription is located right down below the video. It'll take you right to that page, and that's where you can find out all the additional information you need to know about signing up. And that's also where you can go once you're a subscriber or a member to access their shop and pick out some additional goodies at really good prices. So that's all I have for now. I hope you enjoyed checking out these contents, and I hope to see you all again real soon. In the meantime, though, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. And as always, happy beading!